With the tabs added, and by the way, of course, you can also style them and change the color and so on. That is something we'll have a look at in the styling and theming section. But with the tabs added, I now want to work on the content of these pages to have some basic dummy content we can use to then navigate to the other pages we have, which are currently not reachable for us. With that, I want to start on the Discover page. There, let me go to Discover page here. First of all, I'll change the title here to Discover Places. You can, of course, use any title you want. And in there, I want to output a featured place, and below that, a list of places. We'll get more fancy regarding the styling, and we'll also add real data later, but we can start with dummy data and some basic layout and styling already, I guess. So for that, let's first of all set up a data source we can use to manage our places. For this, next to my places page, I'll add a new service. We can do this manually, or of course, you can always run ionic, generate, service, and then that would be in the places folder, and the service should also be named places. And this will now generate this new service in that place. Here it is. I'll remove the spec testing file. We don't need it right now. And here, that places service, here I want to manage my places. Now, we'll get more sophisticated there throughout this course. For now, I'll start really simple. I'll have a private underscore places property, which is an array, and I'll add a getter, which I'll name places without an underscore, where I return a copy of this places, so that we can't directly edit the array from other places where we get access to that array. And well, it also makes sense to define some data model we can work with, so that we have some clearly defined structure of how a place should look like in our application. For that, next to the places service, I'll add a place.model.ts file, and in there I'll export a class which I'll just name place. You can, of course, name it whatever you want. And that will have a constructor where I heavily use that TypeScript shortcut of adding public or private in front of an argument to automatically bind that argument to an equally named class property. And now, what should a place have? Let's say a place has some ID, which is a string. A place will also have a title, which is a string. And a place will definitely also have description, which is a string. A place will have an image URL, which is a string. And a place will also have a price, which is a number actually. And we can fine-tune this and refine this later to add things like a location, availability, and stuff like that. But for now, this is my simple setup with which I want to go. Now with that added, in the places service, I can make clear that my places here will be of type place. So now I will add my place model, and for that you need to add an import at the top and import place from /place model. Whoops, and it should be an array of places here, of course, not a single place. And now with that set up, let's add some dummy places. And for that, we need an ID. We can also use the constructor here, of course, new place, and then pass in the ID, P1 maybe, title, Manhattan mansion, description in the heart of New York City, then an image URL, which I prepared here. You can, of course, simply use Google image search and find any image that fits your name, and the price, and I'll use $149.99 per night, let's say. That is what our price is for. Now I'll add another place next to it, gets an ID of P2. Let's name it L'amour toujours, so some French place, which is, let's say, a romantic place in Paris. Which comes at a cost at, let's say, 189.99 per night. And let's add a third place, shall we? With, let's say, an ID of P3. The Foggy Palace, which is actually not your average city trip. There I also picked an image in advance. You can, of course, search for any foggy image you find, foggy city image you find. And that will come at, let's say, 99.99 per night. Okay, so now I got the 3 places here. And here auto-completion messed up my string, but that's fine. So I got my 3 places here in the service. I got a getter to get these places. With that prepared, let's now get them and let's display them in the Discover page.